Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to TestTube Plus today. I'm Trace. This is episode 5 of 5 on our series about God. If you haven't tuned in to our show before, make sure you check out our other episodes about God. We do 5 episodes in a row about one topic, break it up so everybody understands it a little bit better. And today, we're asking the question that a lot of people ask when they come to religion, and that is, do religions cause violence? I think the important thing to point out here is the cause part. We'll come back to that. Why does religion seem to connect to violence at all? I mean, throughout history, we have religions tied to massive tragedies like the Crusades in 1095 all the way into 1291. We've got the Inquisition in 1478. We've got the conflicts in Northern Ireland that in some cases are still ongoing. We've got the Holocaust in the 20th century, extremism in the Middle East that's going on now, which is connected to 9/11 here in the United States, and ISIS in Iraq and Syria. But that's not really what's going on. Those things connect, sure, but this isn't religion's fault. Richard Dawkins, a famous atheist, wrote in his 2013 autobiography that religion is the principal label and the most dangerous one by which a they, as opposed to a we, can be identified. And that's what it's all about. It's this us versus them dynamic. Religion is just the easiest way for those groups to self-identify and thus separate from each other and oppose each other. But if you look deeper, these conflicts aren't based on religion. They're based on politics, they're based on economics, they're motivated by power. They aren't faith-based at their root. For example, history teaches that the Crusades was a holy war that lasted 200 years, but in reality, it was really more of a land grab. Basically, there are 2 camps of thought on this. The Marxist-influenced materialist theory, which argues that the Crusades were only economically motivated. There were massive economic changes taking place across Western Europe that put the financial security of the region in jeopardy. And thus, the First Crusade begins in about 1096. The Muslim world was really strong, so Europe needed a unified rallying cry, and it came through religion. Religion was the way to get all of these countries to work together. So sure, it was pitched as a holy war, but like all wars in Europe at the time, it was more about the spoils of the war and about land. Europe takes more land, Europe gets more wealth. If this doesn't sound much like religion to you, it's because it's not. It's about politics. And if you look at most major large-scale efforts and conflicts, there are political issues at their root and not religious ones, although religious banners are usually the ones being flown. The conflict in Northern Ireland is between Protestants and Catholics, but it's really about Irish independence, and it's a fight between Irish nationalists and England for that independence. World War II, in part, was a result of harsh economic problems going on in Europe at the time. Germany and a bunch of other nations on the losing side of World War I felt disenfranchised and impoverished, and Hitler used this national moment to bolster a following, which eventually did lead to the Holocaust and religious violence. They needed a scapegoat, and religion came into play. And it didn't start there, obviously. This was just a way to kind of boost the national mood and gain political power. Even the current conflict with ISIS has economic, political, and social causes at its root. Scientists think that people are joining ISIS because they have a passionate need to right some perceived wrong, to address some sort of injustice, to restore honor to those from whom it's been taken. This movement started in a poor, war-torn part of the world. People in those situations feel powerless. They feel victimized, and that feeling is fueling ISIS. It's not the religious belief. That is just a way to bring people together. What is actually fueling it is these other economic problems, these other political problems. Some of ISIS's recruitment techniques capitalize on that. They're literally befriending lonely kids all over the world who feel isolated and using the internet to do that. And reports are showing that the recruiters can reach out and fill this social void in a recruit and peddling them this Islamic foundation to bring them into the fold. If it were just about religion, only religion, then ISIS and Al-Qaeda would theoretically get along because they have the same religious basis, but with different ways of practicing it and looking at it. They'd both be on the same side, and they're not, because it's about power and it's about control. Religion, like we said at the top of this, is just the label used to give a clear us versus them dynamic. I'm not saying that religion isn't a part of war or a part of violence. There are absolutely people who, in the name of religion, commit atrocities. But even then, it's hard to argue that there aren't more atrocities, or at least the same number of atrocities, attributed to politics, to power, and to economics. And as my buddy Strongbad says, to say otherwise is problematic. All of these are religious groups, and your religion, of course, influences what you're going to say, what you're going to do, but at the root of every war or conflict is the division of people, and religion isn't why people get divided. And if we have learned anything from this episode on God, it's that religion builds communities, and it works within other groups and separately and parallel to a lot of different groups. Sure, the KKK burns crosses, but they're not a wholly religious group. They use religion to gain power. Many feel former President George W. Bush used his religion to gain political power and influence, but it wasn't about his religion. He wanted to be president. Religion is, for some, about symbolism, and that's a good way to think about it. Religion is the flag, not the fighting force. We did it, you guys. We made it. We made it through another series on something really big, and this one was, pretty big. I hope you all thoroughly enjoyed it. Let me know how you felt about this series down in the comments, and subscribe for more TestTube Plus, and make sure you come back next week. We're going to have a series on conspiracies. We have been reading the comments, we have been seeing you guys talking about it, and we are going to tackle it. It's going to be awesome, so make sure you come back to that. Thanks for watching.